I mentioned a few days ago that July 6, 1990 brought the best and worst for the PC Engine. Well, I've already talked about the good ones, so here I am with Rastan Saga 2. A game that has lured in many people who go, I don't see what's supposed to be so bad about this, it looks just fine. Much like a deep-sea anglerfish, drawing its victims in with a pretty light. I haven't had a chance to talk about Rastan Saga on this channel before, because, well, its only home console port was to the Sega Master System, not even the Sega Mark III, and it's fairly unlikely that I'll ever document that platform. Rastan Saga was a big hit for Taito in the arcades when it was released, basically a Conan game in all but name. That original arcade game was pretty good, and Taito eventually made the sequel, Rastan Saga 2. And that one was not. In fact, the arcade version is so poorly thought of that when the Taito Memories series on the PlayStation 2 included it in one of the collections, the game description was not flattering. Rastan Saga 2 was an enormously downgraded experience. And that's the game that Taito chose to bring to the PC Engine. The game's story is given on this text screen that happens when you start, and I hope you could read fast because that's all you got. Okay, since the game doesn't help, I'll explain. The kingdom is called Rastania, and there's a tower called Skyscraper, and whoever can reach the top gets to be king. Some bad guys were taking it over, so your barbarian dude goes in after them. That barbarian dude is the king in the original Rastan, which makes Rastan Saga 2 a prequel. The game is a run and slash. You go from left to right, you chop up dudes with your melee weapon, and after every 2 stages, there's a big guy that requires a bit more chopping. If you can clear 5 of those areas, then you beat the game. Your barbarian hero has 3 weapons that they can use, and you switch between these by collecting items that drop from enemies. Your default is a sword and a tiny shield, but you can also get more rapidly swinging claws, or you can get Conan's sword. Okay, it's supposed to be a 2-handed sword, but just look at it, it's Conan's sword. Pressing up and down changes the way that you swing your weapon. You can stab straight up, or kinda swing down. Naturally, you attack by pressing button 2, and jump by pressing button 1. And that brings me to the 2 fundamental problems with Rastan Saga 2. The weapons, and jumping. So, literally everything you do. Starting with the weapons, the big addition for Rastan Saga 2 is that now you can use them to block enemy attacks. Well, theoretically you can use them to block enemy attacks. In practice, it really does not work very well. If you are not attacking, then incoming attacks are supposed to be blocked by your weapon. The area where attacks can be blocked depends on the weapon. For the short sword and shield and claws, this area is very tiny. For the Conan sword, this area is absolutely huge. It's not like you can carefully position yourself to absorb attacks. You can just shift to have it pointing up, or holding it out in front of you as you crouch. Blocking can work okay-ish against projectile attacks, but against melee, well, I'm not even sure it works against those. I mean, I think you're supposed to be able to block melee attacks. It just winds up being pretty much ineffective. And if you do get hit by an enemy's weapon, well, you don't really have invulnerability after you get hit, so your health tends to just melt away. Unfortunately, Rastan Saga 2 seems to be designed around you using that block constantly. Enemies are always placed in positions where you have to use it, they attack continuously, and your maneuverability is reduced enough where dodging isn't a viable option. So the fact that blocking doesn't work well kinda ruins the whole game. Against bosses, there's very little you can do except damage rush them. Fortunately, when you die you revive in the exact same spot, and that's even true if you use a continue, though you only get 2 continues before it's game over and you go back to the start. The best strategy I found was to take the big Conan sword and just walk around with it. Its block effect is so much larger than anything else that it more than makes up for the fact that it swings kind of slow. And it's not even that much slower than the sword and shield. Weapons can be powered up, and you're pretty much required to use these power-ups if you want to make any progress. You can get a fire icon that lets your weapon shoot fireballs every time you attack, or a lightning icon that makes a big explosion of sparks every time you swing it. The lightning attack gives you better coverage and goes through walls, while the fireball gives you better range. And which of the two is better is going to depend on circumstances. The effects of this magic go away if you die or finish the stage, so you never have it available when you fight bosses. Then there's the jumping. Your hero moves slowly, is slow to respond, and has a weirdly floaty jump. Now this wouldn't be a problem as long as the game doesn't rely on precision platforming or maneuverability in combat. So Rastan Saga 2 has a lot of precision platforming, and you'll want to jump in and out of combat with strong enemies. This is a game where there's a lot of points where you'll need to almost walk off a platform and then jump to a narrow spot. Stages are filled with traps that you'll need precise movement and timing to get through. It makes for a frustrating experience. There are a few more power-ups that can drop at random from enemies. The stars are health recoveries, and how much you get back depends on the color. And then there's the cape that reduces damage very slightly. So slightly that I can't be sure it actually does anything. If you defeat a boss, then a gem appears that will increase your hero's level, and I know for a fact that that does nothing. If you don't collect it, then the game continues on and everything works exactly the same. In Japan, Rastan Saga 2 is a notoriously bad game, even in the arcade version. And yet, somehow, it got a sequel. We're not going to see the sequel because it was a Mega Drive exclusive, but there is a sequel. My own take here is that this is a game that feels bad to play, but in ways that don't show up in a video. You don't see how frustrating the movement feels. You don't get a sense of how sloppy the combat is. Sure, I'm getting hit a lot and dying all the time, but maybe I'm the one who needs to get good. Well, playing is believing, and if you play Rastan Saga 2, then you're in for a bad time. Now, personally, I wouldn't go so far as to call it one of the worst games on the PC Engine. Bottom quarter, definitely. There's just some real stinkers out there that aren't even as well made as Rastan Saga 2. But it's a good contender for most disappointing, since if you just look at it, you're probably going to want to play it, and then you'll find out.